I'm Chris from Play Comics, a show where we look at video games based on comic properties and how well they stick to that comic book source material. A part of the GonnaGeek Network, just like the show you're checking out now. Shows on the network are individually owned, and the opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other wonderfully geeky shows at GonnaGeekNetwork.com.
This is the official GonnaGeek.com show. Here we run down the latest news and happenings in the world of geek. These are your hosts for the show, Steven, Chris, and SP.
Welcome to an all-new episode of the official GonnaGeek Show. I am Steven, and I am pleased to say Chris Farrell is here.
I'm pleased to say I'm here.
And I am equally pleased to say Stargate Pioneer is here.
I'm a little bit depressed, guys. I'm post NFL season depression, and now I'm post Olympics depression. It's like a twofer this year.
But just know this. We are probably about 5 days away from the Hallmark movie starting for this year, right?
They've already started.
I mean
they started for New Year's Day and then the Valentine's Day. Oh, you're talking about the holiday. They have the whole Christmas in July that starts in June.
Oh, right. I forgot about that. Oh, anyways, we are here with an all-new episode of the official GonnaGeek Show. And if you are watching, we are streaming this live. We're supposed to start streaming usually every other Monday at around 4:15 p.m. Pacific time, 7:15 p.m. Eastern. But I made some changes this week to the show. And so we were tinkering, and I apologize, but I am pleased to say that I am now directly out again to YouTube and to Twitch rather than being through Restream. So that's one less layer. And I decided actually to fire up the social stream plugin that we tried a while back, which was a mess. And I was pleased to see that they actually have a desktop app now, which makes it so much simpler. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to tinkering a little more. So maybe we can get a little more interactive during the live show. I know we used to do a lot of interactive stuff, and then I gave up because I was lazy, and this might make it a little easier.
Accurate.
Yeah, I'm talking to the two most laziest podcasters I know.
You know what? I can't argue.
Mirror there, huh?
Can't argue.
No, I mean, it's true, right? I mean, there's no argument there.
No.
And I would say 3, except for I didn't want to say I was talking to myself.
But isn't that what you tell the therapist?
It's what I tell my microphone.
Look, guys, I'm semi-retired. I'm working on coming out of my retirement as we speak.
Wait, did you just say that you're so rich that you were able to retire from work already? That's what I heard.
That's what I heard.
No, I'm so not rich. I have to work more to afford everything.
Well, if you would like to chat with us when we're not recording, you should come to the GonnaGeek Discord. There's lots of awesome people over there. And I have to say, I was really tempted on the weekend here. I saw a couple of folks using the little back channels in our Discord that they use to record their podcast. And I almost jumped in just to see what would happen, but I didn't.
I've done that before.
Have you?
Yeah. You can ask Jason and Rob. I do it all the time. They're like, oh, hey, we're in the middle of a show. I'm like, oh, really?
And just so for those of you who don't know who that is Jason and Rob from Smoking and Drinking in Space / Capes. I know it's not really a slash, but I'm going to go with it.
You go with SADDIX with an X now.
SADDIX.
Yeah, I think so.
You know what they should do? They should change it so that it's smoking with an X, so then it can be SADDIX.
Well, I mean, if I was smoking with an X, then I would be in a room that I don't want to be in.
Fair enough. Let's go to the news so we don't have to think about that. All right, let's start off with some news here out of the world of Xbox, or if you would prefer, out of Xbox Series Box. Chris, what's going on?
Yes, this news kind of came out of nowhere over the weekend, or I guess it was over the weekend. And it was that Microsoft's gaming chief, Phil Spencer, is stepping down from his position with the company effective as of we record this. He was with the company for 38 years, starting as an intern and then worked his way up to basically leading the entire Xbox division. He's retiring, and they have announced that Asha Sharma, an executive who's currently in charge of Microsoft's core AI division, will be taking his place. This is kind of interesting because it was long speculated that Xbox president Sarah Bond was being groomed as Spencer's eventual replacement. She's resigning from the company as well. They did announce that current Xbox Studios head Matt Booty is being promoted to executive vice president and chief content officer to work closely with the new CEO of the gaming division. Sharma, who joined Microsoft just 2 years ago after stints at Meta and Instacart, promised in her introductory message to preside over the return of Xbox in a recommitment to our core fans and players. That commitment would start with the console, which shaped who we are, but expand across PC, mobile, and cloud, from what she'd written. It gets kind of interesting. This was kind of surprising. No one really knew it was happening. And if you're not kind of in the Xbox sphere or anything like that, you may not have realized that Phil Spencer, he's a prolific gamer, which is why a lot of people like talking with him about things and this. And he shared his gamer tag with everyone. He'd play online with gamers. People could hop into games with him. And if you went and looked at his back catalog of games he'd played, it was rather large and prolific. And why do I bring that up? Well, because of that nature with Phil Spencer, the first thing everyone started doing was going and looking up Asha Sharma's gamer tag profile on Xbox to give us some insight into the kind of games that she liked and things like that. And they're noticing, there's not a lot of stuff on there. And for what it's worth, I think it's a dumb thing to judge someone on who's going to be leading that to be like, oh, they don't have a ton of stuff on their gamer tag profile. Fine, that is what it is. What I did think was interesting is she's been speaking to fans on social media and was asked what her top 3 games were, or game franchises, and her top 3 picks for greatest games ever were Halo, Valheim, and GoldenEye, which are all pretty solid choices. Did enjoy those selections. So that was kind of neat to see, but Xbox is kind of in a rough spot. I'm not really sure. Do you guys think this kind of shakeup is the thing they need to try and push Xbox out of its decided slump and regression and loss of prominence in the gaming sphere?
Go ahead, SP.
I heard that Sarah Bond and Phil Spencer were leaving Microsoft to go work at McDonald's because they heard that the hourly rate at McDonald's was obscenely high.
Is it?
Is it?
Yeah, you guys haven't heard that from the lower generation. You guys are officially old.
I'm very old. Very old.
I've embraced that years ago.
Yes, is what the gray hair is all about.
I'm older than you guys. I have a granddaughter, so I am definitely old. I think this is the future of gaming. I think injecting AI into gaming, either as an assistant in the development or I get you, Chris. I understand.
Games are art. AI is not art.
No, but you can utilize it to do cool things. Like you can storyboard and then you can give it to the AI and then it will make it.
That's not art.
I think eventually, all right, you can shake your head and everything, but that's exactly what's going to be affordable to make your video games. It's what's going to be affordable to make your comics, and eventually it's what's going to be affordable to make your TV shows and
AI
your movies.
slop is not art. Look at anything that's put out there. It's trash.
Today, you go a few years into the future and it's going to be good.
AI is never going to be able to capture the heart and soul that people put into things like that. I'm sorry.
I think that the reason they're doing this is because they're floundering a bit with how to continue being profitable, because they had a pretty good profit stream for a little bit out of Game Pass and everything. But now you saw them jack the price way up and people aren't going along for the ride. Like they're downgrading to lower membership or they're canceling altogether. And so what looked like a really good future for Game Pass and subsequently Xbox is not there now. And so I think that they're trying to figure things out, and they're putting the person in that's got some AI experience. And,
well, I think
unfortunately that's where they're currently making money, probably in Microsoft.
I don't even know about that, but I think the whole "an Xbox is everything" campaign is kind of what hurt them. We're like, you can do Xbox on anything. So then why do I want an Xbox?
I do have an alternate theory here, is because that AI digital farms, the server farms are just taking so much up that you're going to have to turn your console gaming into server farm gaming pretty soon. So having that sort of background might assist that somehow.
Yeah, I could see that. The other thing as well is I wouldn't be surprised if they are just wanting to put somebody in that doesn't have a footprint in the current state of things, because with Xbox
AI doesn't have any feet, Steven.
Fair enough. But I mean, like they, you'd said whoever was thought to be the one to follow Phil Spencer, but I think that they've made a conscious decision that we need totally fresh blood in here, so that we are not carrying that baggage of the past, and that can work, but it can also really, really screw you over.
So I do think they need some fresh stuff in there, because look at all of the studios and whatnot that Microsoft has bought over the last 5 years. Then look at all of the studios they've shuttered over the last 5 years because things haven't worked, and how they've pivoted to, well, we'll sell our games on anything. It's not working. You need to do something. Now, the real question is this a visionary shakeup that's going to cause something to change, or is this just a yes person for Satya Nadella that's basically going to do whatever he wants and effectively kind of lead to a informal and then finally a formal shuttering of the Xbox brand? I don't know. I would tell you right now that we're already getting the rumors of the next gen Xbox potentially coming out in late 2027. I have literally no interest in that right now. And maybe it's just because my backlog is huge, but it also took like 3 or 4 years on the Series platform to actually get games that pushed that console to its limit. So why the hell would I be wanting to upgrade now, especially when everything's uncertain?
I always say, like, the state of Xbox, I think, can be summarized in the current naming of the console. Xbox Series is the current generation. That's the current generation. Xbox Series X, Xbox Series S. And that's dumb, especially when your predecessor was Xbox One S and Xbox One X. Like, so dumb. And I think that, if we can get some decent naming out of this, sounds good. Add up how many generations there's been and start there.
Well, of course, Microsoft is too big to fail. We haven't ever seen any company that was too big to fail, 10 years ago or so.
Enron. Excuse me.
Boing.
Yeah, that too.
Boing.
What is Boeing?
A wing.
Oh.
Boing.
Oh, I gotcha. I was trying to think what it was a reference to, and I was in a very adult place. If you have any thoughts about this, please come to our Discord, because we do have a gaming channel in our Discord. We would love to have your thoughts. I know that Chris Farrell said that he's going to go over there right now and ask what people's thoughts are about this. He told me specifically through telepathy that he is going to go post in the gaming channel and say, what's your thoughts? Because we want you to give your thoughts over in the gaming channel at GonnaGeek.com/Discord. We would love to have you over there. And while you are over there, you might want to check out the space channel, which is called Outer Space and Science Talk, because SP has some space news. I don't know why that felt like it needed a delivery like that, SP.
Was that the transition?
Space news with the wavy fingers.
I didn't know if you were talking about in the Discord or here. Okay, but we can do here. We can. Yeah. Okay. So late last week, NASA had a surprise press conference on Thursday, the 19th of February, and came out of nowhere. I didn't know what was going on. I actually didn't know until later that day after the press conference, so I didn't see it live. But I did watch it, because wonderful thing about NASA is they live stream the press conference, so it's recorded on YouTube and you can go back and watch it later. Anyway, Administrator Isaacman basically read a letter that he wrote to the workforce and distributed it just minutes before the press conference. And he stated that an independent report will be briefed to Congress and released to the public sometime next week. I do believe it was released earlier today. I haven't read it yet. I've read an earlier version, but I just skimmed through it, so I didn't read the whole thing. Let me read you a few of the quotes. By the way, this is to deal with Boeing's Starliner and the stranding of 2 astronauts up at the International Space Station a couple of years ago. So here's some quotes, and please bear with me. I'm not reading the whole thing. These are just some of the quotes.
What kind of bear? Panda, grizzly,
I
koala?
like panda. The whole panda.
Yeah.
I'm
okay with that.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, quote, mistakes occurred from the program's inception and continued throughout execution, including contract management, oversight posture, technical rigor, and leadership decision-making. While we have identified organizational root causes, the technical investigations to identify proximate or direct causes for the service module and crew module thruster anomalies remain ongoing, acknowledging that present-day reality is essential to mission success. First, NASA's limited touch acquisition and management posture left the agency without the system's knowledge and development insight required to confidently certify a human-rated spacecraft, and insight versus oversight was not applied consistently. Second, Boeing's propulsion system design and certification approach allowed hardware to operate outside qualification limits, which is incompatible with crew safety margins. Incompatible with crew safety margins. Very strong. Third, NASA's programmatic desire to maintain 2 dissimilar crew transportation systems influenced technical and operational risk discussions. It is through this lens that we examine leadership decision-making through the phases of the mission. More than 30 scheduled CFT launch attempts created cumulative schedule pressure and decision fatigue. Prior OFT thruster risk was never fully understood. Corrective actions from OFT-1 were incomplete, and flight rationale was therefore inadequate. Witness statements routinely reflected a belief that the management within the commercial crew program could only succeed if Starliner launched. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Go Fever. Okay. Quote, disagreement over crew return options deteriorated into unprofessional conduct while the crew remained on orbit. Witness statements described an environment where advocacy tied to Starliner's program viability persisted alongside insufficient senior NASA leadership engagement to refocus teams on safety and mission outcomes. Safety and mission outcomes. That's twice in this letter. Okay. We'll continue. Quote, despite the loss of 6 degrees of freedom control and cost thresholds exceeding a Type A mishap by a factor of 100, a mishap was not declared. Concern for the Starliner program's reputation influenced that decision. Ultimately, these decisions were inconsistent with NASA's safety culture. Wow, that's another one. A subsequent independent investigation was commissioned, and the record is now being corrected. Today, we are formally designating this event a Type A mishap to ensure lessons are fully captured for future missions. Programmatic advocacy exceeded reasonable bounds and placed the mission, the crew, and America's space program at risk in ways that were not fully understood at the time decisions were being contemplated. This created a culture of mistrust that can never happen again, and there will be leadership accountability. Let me say that again. This created a culture of mistrust that can never happen again, and there will be leadership accountability. But to be clear, quote, But to be clear, NASA will not fly another crew on Starliner until technical causes are understood and corrected. The propulsion system is fully qualified and appropriate investigation recommendations are implemented. Unquote. He later went on to say, not only will we not put crew on it, but it is not going anywhere near the International Space Station until that happens.
Good.
So what exactly is a type A mishap? A type A mishap, there are certain thresholds in the United States government and in aerospace industry, and even in any industry, like a bridge going down would be a type A mishap. A major ship, like two cruise ships colliding, that's a type A mishap. So there are just thresholds that go up to a type A mishap. The issue with a type A mishap is it doesn't necessarily mean somebody's going to get charged with a crime or there's a death involved. Thank God there was not in this case, by the way. But it does mean that a full and complete investigation will have to be accomplished. The root cause will have to be determined in order for that ship to fly again. Not only will it go nowhere near the International Space Station nor have crew on it, but it won't be able to fly until everything, including the culture around the decision-making, because that was part of the mishap determination, is fully understood. Guys, Administrator Isaacman placed blame for this at his predecessor's feet. Administrator Bill Nelson saying, I don't understand. Basically, he got up after, and there was a question and answer period. And he said, I don't understand how the administrator, how senior levels in NASA, including the administrator, did not step in and correct some things that were going on, including the relationship between the company and the agency. So that was something that he said. Also, I'll just point out, there was a lack of decorum in the press questions because Administrator Isaacman comes from one of us. He's a tech bro. He literally got his money from a tech bro, right? So he's been one of us, a geek. He's been able to use that for the betterment of a lot of things. And he became administrator of NASA because of his acuity, his knowledge, and his ability to deal with senior level decision making. He showed in this press conference alone, he deserves to be called Administrator Isaacman. However, because of his background, there was a bunch of people, like if you or I were Eric Berger from ARS Technica, or, you name the outlet that was asking questions, they were just very informal with him. And I'm like, this is not the time to be informal with the administrator of NASA, especially because he laid out exactly why he is probably going to be the best administrator of NASA within plus or minus 20 years, at the very least, maybe ever. He's very pivotal in this point in time. And I've often said that he will probably transcend the administration change come 2028 will be the election, right? So it'll be 2029.
2029.
He could be asked to stay on. I could see that. So I really hope that in the future, our, compadres in other outlets, either really professional or YouTube streamers like we are, I really hope they give him the respect that he deserves, especially after this. So that's just my little throw up on there. Somebody at work who's senior to me, by the way, said to me today that, you don't know, SP, if he's asked them to treat him like that. I was like, yeah, maybe, but he's earned it. You can be put in a position by whatever means, but he earned that today. So I'm always going to call him Administrator Isaacman, even though it's a mouthful. He's earned it. Okay. Crew safety. How many times did I talk about that? 3, 4? I don't even remember anymore.
I lost count, but it was multiple.
Right.
Because I think every time I reacted like, ooh.
Thank God Isaacman is an astronaut, right? If a non-astronaut was the administrator of NASA, they wouldn't have put that first. They would have put the business behind the commercial crew program first. And there's a reason for that. He also is an advocate for multiple commercial crew program vehicles and capabilities, by the way. We'll get into that in a second. But yeah, he definitely laid it all on the line. And I can't believe, we talked about it at the time. Stephen, you had many, many darts thrown at this whole thing at the time, and you scoffed at Boeing for quite a bit. And I never could disagree with you. Well, he was the only one to put their feet to the fire and say, no, this was a Class A mishap. We need to do something about this. So thank God that somebody that flew in space is making that decision, because think if you were Butch and Sonny and this report, they already knew, by the way, but this report's coming out, you'd be like, and they're both retired from NASA now. I mean, wonderful careers. Neither of them retired because of this. But yeah, if I was one of the two of them on that test flight, I'd be like, thank God I'm still alive, because I might not be. And thank God, and Administrator Isaacman actually said the crew on the panels that were making the decision to bring them into the space station saved their lives, and they went beyond the safety margins of the test flight to get them to safety. It's like, it wasn't ideal, but it was the only decision you could make at that point in time. So, okay. Questions on whether to continue with this program or not. He was saying not only America, but the entire world was going to benefit from multiple capabilities to take humans to low Earth orbit. We haven't seen it yet, but just within a year's time frame, we're going to see the first commercial crewed space station modules go up, like Vast with Haven. There's a couple of others that are going to be launching. They're going to need ships to take them up there. So he's like, I don't want to have only one way to get up there. That's where you get into a space shuttle thing. You need to have that competition. As bad as Boeing's been, let's fix it and let's get it going. Because what did he, I wrote down exactly what he said. He said, there will be extraordinary and continuous demand for crew and cargo access to low Earth orbit. That's what he said. And all this stuff just rolls off his tongue. He is definitely a lot more fluent in his communication than maybe some other tech bro billionaires. Just throwing that out there.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So he said that work continues behind the scenes with Starliner, and that both the service and the crew module thruster issue root cause had not been fully identified and corrected. And there were questions about the concerns that NASA and he would have on SpaceX oversight in the management, because he's saying that there's a management culture issue at NASA. So are you concerned about anybody else? And he said, I'm concerned about it all, and I'm concerned about nothing, because we are instituting the managerial change. There will be accountability, and this is going to be solved. He also said one other thing that I thought was pretty stateful in the whole thing. Anyway, his presence in front of the press and answering the questions, they were having some trouble hearing some questions, and I think they used that to dodge some of the questions that were being asked.
Oh,
but it wasn't too intentional. If you get Isaacman on a one-on-one, he's not going to dodge the question. We've seen it in both his confirmation hearings. He'll come right back at you. Like, Chris, I think you pointed out the question that he took about, so you use SpaceX, you use Dragon. What's your relationship with SpaceX? What's your relationship with the owner of SpaceX? He's like, look, they're the only ones that I could have gone up to space with. You give me another option, I would have chosen them. But this is what I want to do. So, guys, I think this is very impactful. It is showing that mistakes were made. It is showing how lucky they actually got. It is showing that this could have been as bad as Apollo 1 or Challenger or Columbia. This is that bad. He also pointed out that Class A mishap would be the same as the WB-57 that went down. That was also a Class A mishap. So he was putting some context to everything. It's not like there has to be a total national tragedy for this. It could just be an isolated thing to get to a Class A mishap, but it does trigger a lot of automatic things. And he said, this is norm in industry, this is norm in the government, and we need to follow the processes. And they were not being followed. So I'm making the process being followed. So there you go.
From what I was reading, it was almost the point where had things gone bad at the wrong point, they could have lost the entire ISS.
Yeah, because it could have slammed right into the... Yeah.
So we're talking, that's billions lost if you consider all the time and money that's gone into getting the space station set up and running and things like that.
And there were
It
7
does sound-
people on the space
Yep.
station at that
and
time
7
too.
souls. So the fact that tragedy was avoided is a good thing. The fact that we still don't know why some of this happened is something they're really going to need to have to figure out. But hey, at least there's competitors in the space sphere. The problem to me, it sounds like, just from some cursory skimming and some reading I'd done on this earlier, is that there were some people that were of the mindset, hey, we need competition for this. And that put them in blinders to any of the issues that it may have had because of their want of competition in this sphere. And hopefully that is some of what is corrected going forward, is that our desire for competition doesn't outweigh our desire to get a safe space platform out there.
He didn't say this, but I read between the lines and it wasn't that, although that was what it was being said. I think the read between the lines of we need to make sure Boeing is successful here.
Mm-hmm.
And Boeing does have a lot of history because they bought a lot of the companies that have done back to Apollo, landed, Northrop Grumman did the landing, the LEM for the moon and everything. But interestingly about Boeing, they were not at the press conference. And earlier that day, just hours before that, they put a sly press release out and they said, "We're moving our headquarters from Washington, D.C. back to St. Louis." That was their response to this. They knew what was going to happen, and they chose that morning to say, "We're moving. We're getting closer to our workers. We need to fix our own culture, and we're going to do this." It's the only thing they could do. Because if they didn't, their stock price would have just tanked if they didn't do something proactive to
Let's
this.
be honest, from their perspective, it's all damage control for the almighty stock price right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I just said. Yeah,
And,
I agree.
And I think it's important that we also look at this in the bigger picture as well, which is that Boeing just in general has had numerous problems. And so I get that there's probably not a lot of overlap between their space and their, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, aeronautics area. Aerospace.
Yeah,
whatever. So there's probably not a lot of overlap there, but you can't also look at this and go, well, they had this major catastrophe. They've had multiple other problems on their airline side of things and not think that there's a huge problem there. I just am glad things worked out the way that they did in the end. I'm glad that the decisions were made to keep the astronauts up there. I do think, though, that I'll be honest, none of this surprises me, even though I'm just an average guy. But, we were following that when this came out, that they were not sure what they were doing. They were pushing timelines. They couldn't analyze what happened right away. They spent weeks trying to figure out what happened so that they could send it back. It was just so obvious that there was a whole bunch of mess ups along the way, and I'm glad that someone's taking a firm tone on this so that people can realize that we got lucky, very lucky, and it can't happen again. So
he did say that when they were making the decisions on the consoles, he again applauded the people on console at the time. But when they were doing that, they didn't even think, they didn't bring it into the lexicon whatsoever, that there was another way to bring back Butch and Sonny. And that's what ultimately the decision was. But yeah, as they were making the decision, they didn't even think in terms of bringing them back on a Crew Dragon.
wow, interesting.
Yeah.
Well, if you have any thoughts about this, like I said, come to our Discord. We would love to have you over there, because what channel is it, SP?
It's the space channel that you said. Yeah, outer space and science. That's what it is.
All right, well, let's go on to the next news point here. Trailer am I? That's my attempt at a Yoda, which has nothing actually to do with what I'm talking about.
I'm having a flashback right
I'm
now.
going to talk about Star Wars because it's here. It's finally here. For those of you who are watching the internet at some point, you may have seen a trailer that got you all excited. That's right. The trailer is out for the next Star Wars movie. And I know what you're saying. If you are just like Chris Farrell, you are saying, Self, I really would love to see some more Kylo Ren and maybe see some more information about how we're all Skywalkers. And if you are saying, I'm so excited to explore that a little further with a new Star Wars trailer, well, guess what? It's not happening because this is actually about The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian trailer hit the airwaves yesterday. It's been long awaited, and the official full trailer did come out. The movie is titled The Mandalorian and Grogu, and it debuted the full trailer, as I said, and it's going to star Pedro Pascal, perhaps in voice only, I don't know. But other cast members include Sigourney Weaver, Johnny Coyne, and Jeremy Allen White. So this movie is not going to be on Disney Plus. No, it is going to hit the actual big screen, and it's going to come out on May 22nd. So my question for you guys is, what did you think of the trailer? And also, do you think Disney is going to be more inclusive of Star Wars fans who haven't followed The Mandalorian and associated shows religiously? Or do you think they're going to continue on their recent trend, you know, sort of post Disney Plus, of just not being able to figure out how to balance any form of franchise storytelling but between diehard fans and casual fans?
Chris, you mind if I go first?
Proceed.
What was that?
What?
That was a flashback.
What? You said you wanted to go first in response. Go ahead. You can go ahead and respond if you'd like.
All right, strap in.
For those of you that didn't gather, that was from the last episode, that whole section. I made one mistake. I tried to cut out all the yesterdays and I missed one. But anyways, for those of you that didn't know this, I screwed up 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, I thought that the Super Bowl trailer was new. It was not. And I was wrong. And then because I'm lazy and take forever to post things, by the time I posted the actual episode, Chris had come in and informed me that there was actually a new trailer that had come out. I think it was this past weekend. So anyways, we are recording this today on the 23rd of February. So I was just ahead of it. I just was ahead of it.
You're a visionary.
A visionary. I was connecting to my future self. You're kind of like how Harry Kim does in Star Trek to save the Voyager.
Ensign Harry Kim.
Captain
at the time. Whatever.
No. He made captain.
At some point.
Admiral,
we have
actually.
confirmation.
But
Admiral from Starfleet Academy.
Yes.
in anywho, yes. He that was me. I was talking to my future self, and that's why I was just getting all
that's what it
confused.
was.
So
okay.
There is a new Star Wars Mandalorian trailer out now. It came out, and all I will say about it right now is that it actually got me more excited, and it answered the question. He's not in voice only. He actually, in the new trailer, you see Pedro Pascal, so at least he has some out of the helmet shots.
I do have some things to say.
Okay.
Don't push the buttons. Strap in. Check your armor. Are you scared? You should be. I like this kid. What are you waiting for? Let's save the rest for after dinner.
It looks good. It looks like it's going to be fun.
I got a question for you guys. At the very beginning, there's an astromech that is, going towards the Mandalorian ship. You think it's R2?
I think it's entirely possible because it'd be real easy for them to, change the colors a little bit in post-production or pre-production here.
It's not even colored. It's darkened, so you can't tell the colors.
So I think it could very well be done. They've already shown they have the tech to do it with what they've done with Luke Skywalker in both The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett. I would be interested to see if that's the case. My guess, probably not, but they want this conversation to occur of us being like, oh, could it be Luke? Could it be Luke?
No, that's not where I was going at all. I was sticking on R2.
In the chat, Kent says, could be KT, question mark.
Yeah, I mean, it could. I'm just saying R2 because that would be the link to the actual Star Wars that everybody grew up with, or at least people that are old as me.
Well, I guess the real question is, what do they want to do with this? Do they want to kind of move this on to being its own thing where it's not as dependent on the original trilogy and you just kind of have separate Mandalorian and Grogu stories and stuff like that? Or do you want to keep doing the callbacks to the prequels and the original trilogy? I don't know what their grand plan here is, and this may give some insight into what Dave Filoni is thinking for the future plans of his Lucasfilm now.
I'm really interested to see if they do bring any of that in, because this is in the theaters. It's not on Disney Plus, and I'd love to know, what do the metrics say with current Star Wars fandom? Have most of them actually watched The Mandalorian? Do they have good data to say that, or is it just, we know we have something that works? It's a unique story. It's successful. Let's get something back in the theaters, because they could have put this on Disney Plus. They could have done that, but there's got to be a reason that they wanted to actually let this hit the theaters, and I want to know, is there going to be a tie-in so that the casual person that goes, ooh, new Star Wars movie, let's see what that's about, but hasn't watched Mandalorian, can actually go, oh, this kind of brings me in? Or is it just, we're good, we're just going to let this live on its own?
I mean, my guess is they want it to be a standalone kind of thing.
But okay, they've got a lot of homages in there to Rebels, to Boba Fett. I mean, because that's the whole Mandalorian thing, right? So you got Boba Fett, which is crossing between the movies and the TV. The crosses are already there. It's just how far do they lean into it? And don't forget, if this is really Dave Filoni, his playground has been the TV world. It hasn't been the movie world yet.
How do we feel about them bringing another Hutt in?
I mean, whatever.
We know that they're a syndicate, so sure.
Okay. It felt a little too on the nose for me, but that's okay.
Okay, so you haven't seen the entire breadth. Am I correct on this?
You are correct.
Yeah, so yeah, the Hutts are all over the place.
Yeah. The interesting thing on this one is Filoni is probably producing and probably gets script credits. Remember, Favreau's directing, which directed a lot of the original Mandalorian episodes, which I think had a good feel to them. And Jon Favreau, also pretty talented director in his own right. So I'm curious. I'm still curious on this one. I'm not exactly 100% sure this is going to be a huge success, since it's dependent on a bunch of people having a passing knowledge of the characters, at least from a Disney Plus series, which you're not guaranteed that everyone has seen.
How much knowledge did we have before A New Hope?
Same, yeah. But The New Hope didn't also make a bunch of callbacks to things that you were expected to know. They referenced a few things, sure, but that's all you got out of it. I think we're so used to
samurai. They referenced World War II dogfighting. There was a lot of
the Clone Wars.
But this is, I guess, yeah, this is my question that I asked the last time, actually, which is, will they build it in a way that anybody can come in? Because A New Hope,
they have to.
A New Hope was built that way, but the current iteration of Star Wars on Disney Plus is not built that way, because Disney Plus cannot tell a story. So I really hope that doesn't translate, because this is wrapping up, or was supposed to wrap up, The Mandalorian and whatnot.
I think I get the feeling just from watching the trailer, this is just a space adventure with characters that we saw in a separate series. I don't know how much lore building there is going to be into, say, Ahsoka season 2, or the supposed Avengers like movie that combines all of the TV shows into one thing to combat Thrawn. This just looks like a space adventure with the Mandalorian and his son. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because when we first saw Star Wars, it was just a space adventure that assembled a bunch of people that we never knew anything about. So if you can follow that same kind of vein, it could very well work for people that haven't seen a bunch of this stuff before. It's just like, hey, cool, it's something Star Wars, neat.
I hope so.
I don't know.
I do have one concern.
Okay.
So the series ended in a very good place.
Mm.
I just hope they don't ruin that.
Great point. Very good point. Well, I guess I think I have been to the movie theater since 2020 once, maybe twice. And so this actually makes me want to go.
Are you going to rent out the whole place or?
No, I'll probably actually not even pay for anything. I'll just sneak in.
Sure.
Yeah.
It is easy to do. I mean,
nobody cares anymore. It's like the people you see online where like, oh, I got all my candy and they didn't even check. It's like, look, the days of people caring and they're long gone. There's some person that just wants to hang out at the movie theater and get a paycheck. That's what it is.
And at the end of the day, they just want somebody to please come sit in my theater.
Yeah. All right, well, let's go on to the next news point here, which is all about X-Files.
That's right. We're going to pretend like that last season didn't happen because I don't want to talk about it.
Oh,
and I only
God,
watched
that was
like half
awful.
of it. I watched half of it before. I was like, this is trash. I am getting out of it. I don't want to watch this. But we did get some interesting news, and I think this was either just today or yesterday it came out. I forgot to grab the date. But The Hollywood Reporter has confirmed that Hulu is moving forward with its reboot of The X-Files. This will be done by Black Panther and Sinners filmmaker Ryan Coogler, who is set to write and direct the pilot. It is officially greenlit. Coogler's talked about this in past interviews. We know it's a passion project for him, and we know he will helm this first episode before starting work on Black Panther 3. We have found out that Danielle Deadwyler has landed, quote, one of the two coveted starring roles in the series, end quote. And while we don't have official character details, a new logline was released stating, two highly decorated but vastly different FBI agents form an unlikely bond when they are assigned to a long-shuttered division devoted to cases involving unexplained phenomena. They did state as part of this press release, this serves as a loose sequel to the original X-Files. That leaves the door open to cameos or other connective tissue from the original series, and hopefully not like the last season of said original series. But it would appear that Ryan Coogler is succeeding in at least getting his pilot greenlit for the X-Files. He's a very talented filmmaker, writer, and director, so I'm kind of cautiously optimistic that this will be good and turn into something that's interesting. The X-Files is a topic that is, you can touch on that whenever. There's so many storytelling opportunities in it. I'm kind of intrigued to see what a modern version of the X-Files would be like. So I'm cautiously optimistic that this is happening. I don't know. What about you guys? Are you guys down for some more X-Files?
I am actually, because I have to admit, I was somebody who grew up with people watching X-Files and saying I should watch it, and I didn't. I was not an X-Files connoisseur.
Okay.
And I have seen some pieces of X-Files since, mostly probably through you, to be honest. There was the last season, but wasn't there also like something else that happened with X-Files, like a movie or something?
They had two movies.
Yeah.
There was the original movie in the late 90s. Then they did like a kind of a self-told story of its own. And then the last series that came out, they kind of made it public. Aliens exist. And to be honest, I'd gotten really bored with it and didn't watch to that point where they announced it. So who knows?
I mean, Obama spilled the beans on aliens last week.
Right. I know.
They exist.
I know. But yeah, so I saw enough that I would actually like to see something that is not hinging on the knowing the entire breadth of the past X-Files series or lore or whatever you want to call. So a new take, I think it would actually probably work pretty well. However, I do have to say, I think that people are different now, and the whole basic concept of just accepting these government agents and everything that's involved with the suspension of disbelief to do with following along with government officials, I think might have a bit of problems with some people, and I think that people aren't willing to have that same suspension of disbelief anymore. So I'm curious to see how they handle that, because I do think that people aren't as easy to get involved with. Oh, this is the government section, blah, blah, blah. They're looking out for us. And,
I
all that
imagine
stuff.
that's something that Ryan Coogler is going to touch on a bit. I mean, if you look at his storytelling and things that he does there, he's pretty aware of the current world climate, for lack of a better term. And I'm sure there'll be something written to that.
How about you, SP?
Look, guys, when I heard that there was going to be a reboot, a new premiere of the Rockford Files, I was all in. Because
I'm sorry, did you read the news of who's starring?
Rockford Files?
Yeah.
It's James Gardner. He's coming back.
Oh, sorry, I got this confused with a different show. No, that one's okay. Sorry. For some reason, I was thinking that was the one Stephen Amell got. No, that's Baywatch. Sorry.
Oh.
For some reason, I was thinking it was Stephen Amell, and I was like, wait, no, that wasn't Stephen Amell. What am I thinking?
It was like, what is David Boreanaz? What did he do?
Yeah. No, I messed up. I'm sorry. I had it crossed in my head.
Yeah, so the Rockford Files are coming back. Cool cars, gunslinging PI stuff and everything. Yeah, it'll be great. I did not, unfortunately, see the X-Files. That I've told you guys before, there was a period in my life where TV was not accessible to me. And unfortunately, that was the period that the X-Files was on. So I really haven't really seen it. And I know it's very involved. So every time I think about watching it, I think I'm going to have to watch the entire thing. I can't even remember. Was there 9 seasons, 10 seasons, something like that?
I think it was 10 and 2 movies.
Yeah, there's a lot of material there, and I would have to be suckered in to it. And I don't want to disrespect it, to be honest with you, because so many people that I know really enjoy it. So
and there's so much talent back then that, like, Vince Gilligan cut his teeth, for instance, on the X-Files. And like, they wanted him to come back and write some for the 10th season. He's like, I'm too busy with other stuff. And for those that are not making the connection, Vince Gilligan, Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, what's the name of his show on Pluribus on Apple TV right now? Like, Vince Gilligan, incredibly talented writer and director. And that was his start, was the X-Files. And X-Files is very much a lore-heavy show. I have rewatched it since I've grown up, which kind of made it fun, because I was a kid in the 90s, so I was watching like X-Files as a kid, and some stuff didn't quite compute to a kid, but does when you're an adult. But yeah, it's very lore-heavy, but it was also a nice mix back then of Freak of the Week kind of stuff in lore episodes.
I did like Fringe, and I heard Fringe was very much like X-Files, at least at the beginning.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I think I would get into it. But like Steven said, maybe this is my time to jump on into it, because is this a full reboot or is this a continuation?
So it originally said, I guess a soft reboot is the way to look at it. I guess there's connective tissue to the original. Okay. Kind of what we're sort of hearing with Stargate. This sounds very similar to the approach they're taking with Stargate to me, which is, hey, we're going to take this beloved 90s property. We're going to bring it back, and it's going to have a soft tie-in to what's come before. You don't necessarily have to have watched what's come before, but there'll be some nice moments there for folks that did, is what it seems like to me after reading it.
I know that these reboots, I mean, we just talked about a few other ones like the Rockford Files or what's Baywatch or whatever. And I think Baywatch has had a reboot already. But anyway, I know that there's that stuff out there, but there are good things that come from the reboots. I am looking forward to Stargate, and I'm hoping that they don't screw it up. You could argue that the new Trek is a reboot in of itself. And you also had BSG, which was a reboot. So, and BSG is ripe for another reboot now, because when you take a look at the time factors, we're at the point where it's time for another reboot, or you can do another reboot. So I'm cautiously optimistic on this. I hope that the fans aren't let down, because you have to start with a fan base these days. We have so many choices that in order to get people to come and watch your show, you have to have a starting, like with podcasts. We've heard you got to have an email address or an email list in order to do a podcast, right? So this is kind of like you have built-in fandom. Let's get them interested in it. Let's not piss them off. And I think that there was a piss off factor with Halo, the series Halo, for instance, with the gameplay there. So I hope they don't do that. And it's just, I'm along for the ride. Let's see what happens here. But I'm all for reboots as long as you do it right and you don't half butt it and you improve upon it while not pissing off everybody. I mean, even BSG pissed off people, right? With Starbucks, right?
In the ending, God did it.
Who hasn't Starbucks pissed off?
You know, that goes so many ways.
Fair point.
I'm looking forward to this. And just before we go on to the next news point, little extra tidbit about the whole Vince Gilligan X-Files thing. That's actually why Bryan Cranston ended up in Breaking Bad, was because Vince Gilligan remembered him doing the episode. And that's where the connection, that's why it was so out there from what Bryan Cranston had been doing, which was comedy, because he remembered him from the X-Files and performance he gave on that. I've never seen it, but I do know that story.
He did drama in Babylon 5. Here's one episode.
Ooh,
That's a nice tease there, guys. Season 5, Babylon 5, Bryan Cranston. Or was it 4?
I think it was
Might be 4.
It's update time. Artemis update time. It's update time.
Yeah, so we've been talking about Artemis II for a while now. They were on the pad since we discussed this last time. They actually did a second wet dress rehearsal. It was successful all the way to the end. I watched it all the way to the end. That was a long day. and it was successful. They did everything they wanted to do. And I thought, okay, we actually might be launching in March. And then the next day, we got to roll back to the VAB, the vehicle assembly building. I was like, oh no. So Isaacman got out on his Twitter account, his X account, and he said, yep, we got to roll it back. Sorry, it's going to affect the launch date. We're now looking at April launch dates to be at the earliest. And he actually, in the spirit of transparency, wrote a heck of a X post on the whole thing, and my hat's off to him. I'm not going to read the whole thing. There's a few highlighted portions that I wrote here, so I'll read those. He says, quote, regardless of the potential fault, assessing and remedying any of these issues can only be performed in the VAB, which is the vehicle assembly building. We will begin preparations for rollback, and this will take the March launch window out of consideration. The president created Artemis as a program, and technically he did, that will far surpass what America achieved during Apollo. We will return in the years ahead, and we will build a moon base and undertake what should be continuous missions to and from the lunar environment. Now, unfortunately, guys, as we talked about before, Artemis does not have a rapid flight rate. So they are still dealing with issues that had not been corrected from the first Artemis launch, which was successful. It just took them a while to do that. Remember that the rocket rode out a hurricane. I think we talked about that last time. Mm-hmm. So there are things going on here with Artemis that will eventually be solved with more repetitions and a more rapid launch rate. But it's just not the rocket to take us into what is envisioned right now for a lunar program. And I did discuss, I believe last time, the remedy. It's New Glenn. It's reusable. It can launch Orion. We're good to go, basically, with this program as it goes into the future. It's just not going to be SLS. New Glenn is not ready yet, and it's not certified for a human launch. That's going to take some time. So until then, SLS is the ride, and they got to get it fixed. So Isaacman was saying that they're going to make correct. I've seen several different interviews with him and read his posts and stuff like that. They're going to make corrections, not only for Artemis 2, but they're going to fix it before Artemis 3 and not just rehash it like they did in between Artemis 1 and Artemis 2. Will it launch in April? I don't know. But this I will know is that when it does launch, it's going to have the safety of all 4 crew members in mind, including that one Canadian that I'm convinced we are trying to kill. But Isaacman is saying, no. We're going to be safe here. So hats off to him, and we'll see if we can't make an April launch. By the way, April in Florida, if you want to go down there and see it, that is the golden time to be in Florida. And I'm not joking. That is, if you want to create a vacation around those launch dates, that's good to go. So have your April spring break around the April launch dates for this. You're going to see a show. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be another 2 or 3 years before you see another one. So yeah, just go for it. Anyway, what do you guys think about this whole Artemis thing?
Well, I have a bone to pick with you.
Go ahead.
Because you were just talking about, once again, New Glenn and how it fits into the equation.
Yep.
And I looked it up. Did you know that if you search for the term New Glenn in our show documents, the first iteration of it came on episode 164, which was way back in 2016, 10 years ago. I think we're past being new.
Well played. Well played.
I see what you did there.
So there's been a lot of talk about how long it takes to create one of these systems that's crude rated. And 10 years is about, that's the thumbnail. That's about what's right these days. You go back to Apollo, the Saturn V and Apollo actually started about 10 years before they actually did it too. Now, technically, you can point to Kennedy's speech in 1961, and then we landed on the moon in 1969, but the program was already underway. So you can slice and dice it however you want. Space Shuttle took about 10 years. It takes about Crew Dragon took 10 years. It takes about 10 years. So we'll see how this prevails. But unfortunately for Artemis, SLS is not the rocket to keep it going. Glenn is the rocket to keep it going.
Well, I am looking forward to that Canadian going round trip so that he can go around and say, oh, look, there is no flag there. Because, I'm sure as you go around, you'll be able to see it, right? Like, that's just how it works. Of course, right?
Do you know how close they're going to be to the lunar surface?
Quite far away, but there's binoculars. I'm sure that'll...
Okay. A good set of glasses will do.
In space, without the interference of light, pollution, and all that, I'm sure they'll be able to see it, right? Just, no problem.
Be just like looking out the window.
No, I'm glad, though, that this is on the heels of your prior news story, taking the appropriate time.
Yeah. And that pullback, by the way, for you two, because I know this is not going to be released for a couple of weeks, and that's not a dig, Stephen. I'm just informing our audience.
Maybe it will. Maybe I'll pick up my socks.
Okay. That it's going to be rolled back tomorrow as we record this.
It won't be posted by tomorrow.
Okay.
All right. Well, for the final news point of the night, I wanted to talk about Hard because last time we talked about it as well. I'm
sorry. I got to make a correction.
Okay.
It was just due to weather, and I have no idea what's going on down there. It has been moved to February 25th, so it's not tomorrow. It's the day after.
Okay, gotcha. You ruined my hard segue. But anyways, I was jealous of Chris last week, so that's why I wanted to talk about hard drives this week. And I don't know if you have caught this, but in recent episodes, we have talked all about the expense that was SSDs going up and RAM going up. Well, guess what? If you didn't know this, hard drives are apparently going up as well. Because there was a post that came out saying that Western Digital has said that they have already sold out their entire 2026 capacity for the year. They had said that it's all allocated for, so I guess, there's probably still going to be some for sale, but they said that yes, it, quote, we're pretty much sold out for calendar 2026. That was by Irving Tan, that he had said that on the company's quarterly earnings call. And of course, people are blaming AI for that. Well, if you thought we had it bad over here, I came across a Tom's Hardware article related to this, and it was titled, quote, hard drive pricing in the UK is so high, someone flew to the US to buy drives, saving money despite flight and hotel costs.
That's amazing.
And what this goes,
sad.
I know, what this goes on to say is that there was a Reddit user over on the r/data hoarder subreddit, and he has said that this user, which was CJ Tech UK, said that they saved over $2,000 by taking the trip. They were looking for a decent amount of drives. So let's preface all of this by saying that. And they were looking for specifically 28 terabyte drives, and they were looking for 10 of them. So they went over to the US. Well, on the Tom's Hardware article, they had gone and compared pricing and had found that both Best Buy and BH Photo. This was the poster had gone and bought the drives from Best Buy and BH Photo, which had a maximum of just 5 drives. So they bought 5 from each of them. And then Tom's Hardware went and at the time of posting had found that in the UK, the price of these drives were $980 per unit compared to $609 per unit in the US. So they did a little rough math, and they found that basically if you were to take the cheapest round trip ticket from London Heathrow to JFK International, it was around $700. And then basically, when you do all the math of a hotel plus out-of-pocket money, you're still looking at a savings of around $2,000. And I thought this was a really interesting part in this article, or the post that was made on the subreddit, which was that the user wanted to make sure they did not get scammed. So they made sure that they went back to their hotel room and looked at all the drives and tested each and every drive before they left with C-Tools, Crystal, and even made sure that they were copying files on to make sure that they didn't get scammed with some swapped out drives. So this was the extent this user went to. Obviously, very unique situation. I get it though. If they're trying to wait for the right deal, they got the money to do it. They've been waiting for a bit. They're wanting to get in before the prices continue to drive. So I wanted to ask you guys, has this news about hard drives, not the SSDs, not RAM, about hard drives, have they affected any of your plans as far as what you might be purchasing? Because over the last decade or so, I think it's a fair statement to say that hard drives themselves have been used very differently for the average consumer than an SSD drive. SSD drives have been primarily your day-to-day drive, your swap drive, whatever you want to call it, your OS. If you were just a single drive type person, you've probably used an SSD. Meanwhile, hard drives have been used more for things like archival or expanded storage needs. So considering all this, has this changed your plans with how quickly these seem to be going up as well?
I'm all I know is I have not got any wiggle room if any of my backup drives fail, because it's going to be expensive as hell to pick up spares at this point in time. So we'll see if the one spare I have will hold me through this huge surge.
How about you, SP?
As I was recording Strange New Worlds Fancast yesterday on Starfleet Academy, as I was recording on OBS, I got the notification, your hard drive space is limited.
Oh,
no.
And I was like, crap. I know this is going to happen. Now, my podcasting has definitely taken a throttle back from what it used to be. And I thought I would be okay for a couple years with hard drives. That is the operating drive. And so I had to offload, I forget what it was, 330 gigabytes of that to make sure I had space, right? And I started doing it while we were recording. Can you imagine doing that just like 5 years ago, by the way, the systems that we used to have? That wouldn't have worked while we were recording. No problem, right? And I wasn't transferring the file that I was recording to. I was transferring all the other files. And I created space, but it went to my big hard drive for long-term storage on the computer. And I believe it's a 20 terabyte. And I've always known that I would have to bump up, and I've been waiting for a while to get like a 28 or a 30 terabyte drive. And I always wanted to go Western Digital because in my opinion, they're more reliable than like Seagate. And that's from personal experience too, by the way. And so I'm not saying anything that I haven't gone through, but yeah, I'm looking at Newegg right now. There are no Western Digital above a 26 terabyte. Those 26 terabyte drives are $900 for Western Digital. The Seagates are more closer to 600, and they're like 28 and 30 terabytes. So knowing what's happening right now, I might actually go pick one up to replace one of my drives. I don't know if I can buy a new system these days. Like the laptop that I just got, which I have not opened yet, but the laptop that I just got was expensive enough. It was $3,500. If I wanted to replace the system that I have now with new components, it'd be outrageously expensive.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try to ride this for a lot longer than I had wanted to. And we'll see how it holds up. Eventually it's going to break and I'm going to have to buy something new. But yeah, this is affecting my decision at this point. I had to get, so the laptop I had to get, that was a had to buy. There's personal issues going on in my life that I had to get the laptop to be able to function for work mobily. So that was, unfortunately, I have to buy one. And since I was buying one, I also wanted to buy one that I could also use to podcast.
Makes sense.
So and I'm going to, in my mind, have it for 6 to 10 years. So, okay, I'm okay spending that much. I really didn't want to, but I'd always known that my next purchase was going to be pretty expensive when it came to the laptops. So I'm not okay with
he's just not okay. He saw those prices. He's like, I'm not okay.
Oh my gosh. And there's a limited amount. Like before there used to be a couple dozen. And now when I click in stock and go above 26 terabytes on Newegg here in the United States, I don't know if it's the same in Canada, there's only 5 drives. That's it.
Remember we used to wait for good sales on hard drives? Yeah. That ain't happening anymore.
Grab them while you can. This is the new, well, so is memory, but this is the new graphics cards, right? During the pandemic. It's the same thing.
Graphics cards are kind of some of the graphics cards too still.
Yeah. I can get so I'm okay getting like a 50. I was looking around. I'm okay with getting a 5070 at a reasonable price.
Is that the melting connection one?
Is it?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I thought I saw an article today, something about it, but
probably.
No. So it's interesting because I'm in a similar situation, but my concern here is like I inherited a while back NAS with a bunch of 8 terabyte drives. And so I've used it. I had it, might as well use it. And so the thing is, though, it has several 8 terabyte drives in it. And I configured it because of the amount that were in there to, I believe, use 2 as redundancy. And so I'm concerned now because I didn't put any efforts into that and I didn't really think much about it. Like I said, I inherited it. So I ended up thinking, well, in the future, when it's time, prices are dropping, I'll just go and maybe upgrade the whole baseline of the drives, right? Like, go to something that's got bigger drives. But now I'm sitting here going, okay, what happens if one of those drives dies? I'm going to want to replace it because of the fact that I want to keep that redundancy in there. So I think I got to go and pick up, if I can, any 8 terabyte drive and just let it sit here ready to go, because it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So that's my concern. But in the meantime, if that doesn't happen, because like you said, they're already going up, I do have some secondary backup of that, right? We always talk about 3-2-1 backup. And I think that, if you do have, you need to remember that redundancy is not the same as a backup. And so I have a backup system going on right now, but I think I really need to spend some time making sure that my critical data has some checking going on to make sure, some corruption checking to make sure that anything that is backing up to a second regular drive, not in an NAS, is making sure that the corruption protection is on, so that if the NAS starts to go, that I'm not losing that information, because I could be in a situation where all of a sudden I go, this is not feasible for me to continue this NAS right now. I need to wait and bide my time. And I might have to just end up being on a few single drives, not in a NAS situation. And so making sure that I have that backup really going on, I think is important, because redundancy with something like RAID or ZFS is great if you can get the drives when one of them dies. So it's a concern. So we'll see what happens. I would like to hope that this is just a little blip, but given what we're seeing with SSD and RAM, I'm worried.
Yeah, me too. There's no such thing as little blips anymore on this stuff.
I went and actually just on my lunch today, went and dug out my bin full of 2 terabytes and I think I had a 4 terabyte in there, but just drives that didn't really fit a purpose anymore for my storage. And I think I'm going to error check them because now one of my sons has a computer, and I know we were looking at getting, some extra hard drive space. And I think if it's fine, I'll just set him up with that and have him, back it up automatically with the error checking and stuff. So
yeah, I got a bunch sitting in that cabinet right behind me over there in that in that overhead. So if you're a criminal looking at this and you're looking for the hard drives, that's where it is. But yeah, this is gonna hurt.
Yeah,
this is gonna, and also I'm very glad I still have Backblaze.
Yeah,
because if one goes down, at least I will have the data. Hopefully, if everything works right, at least I will have the data that I will be, because these drives are going to run longer than I want them to.
Exactly.
So ultimately, they are going to fail. So I need that backup. As you're saying, you have rated redundancy. I don't, but I have Backblaze redundancy.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, if you got any thoughts about that, you can come to our Discord, and there is a tech and gear channel there, as well as a smart home and home lab channel. Maybe that'll one of your maybe one of those channels will fit to your post. That's what I was trying to say. So come on over to our Discord at GonnaGeek.com/Discord, and come on back in 2 weeks from now. We should be recording the next episode of the official GonnaGeek Show. A couple of us will be there for the audio listener. SP Chris just had some balloons go around him. We still don't know why, but before the show, he ended up doing a thumbs up, and the thumbs up emoji came up, and now he had balloons. So that's what's going on. He's got some more balloons coming again, and I assume it's something to do with the Mac, because I know that happens on the iPhone. So I assume it's got to be, but I don't know. If you would like to watch these balloons happen, though, as I was saying, come on back in 2 weeks. A couple of us will be there for that. I won't tell you which of us will be missing, because maybe you won't end up wanting to come if you find out. But come on back in the 9th of March at 4:15 p.m. Pacific time, 7:15 p.m. Eastern. In theory, I'll throw that out as a disclaimer every single time. In theory. Chris, anything you want to say about your balloons?
I have no idea what's going on, but I was able to replicate it and the thumbs up. So I guess I need to go turn something off on Mac OS. Sorry, guys.
SP?
I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous. Hey, guys, it was a lot of fun tonight. Thank you very much for everything. And to our listeners, if you're still with us, please let us know how you liked the episode. We would definitely appreciate any sort of comment whatsoever on what we're covering, and if it's what you want to listen to, or if you want us to cover something else, let us know, because we're adaptable, kind of, sort of, maybe.
Yeah. We want more balloons.
I want a pony.
So, for episode number 425 of the official GonnaGeek Show, I'm Steven saying I'm on a Mac, but I'm directing to OBS. I might need to rethink that.
I'm Chris, and I'm the king of balloons on this show, I guess. I don't know.
I'm SP. I'm looking forward to the upcoming launches of Artemis. And don't forget, New Glenn and Starship are going to be launching again soon. It's going to be a fun year. Woohoo!
It's going to be a fun year, Chris. Quick. Fun year. Bye.
checking out another episode of the official GonnaGeek.com show. If you like the show, please give us a 5-star review in Apple Podcasts or a thumbs up on YouTube. You can always join us for our live recording sessions at www.geeks.live. And remember, you can find our full back catalog at GonnaGeek.com/show. If you're itching for more geeky content, check out other shows on GonnaGeekNetwork.com. Voice work was by Emily Prokop of the Story Behind podcast. That's it for this episode. We hope to see you back again next show.